In one stolen, fateful night, I embraced a love so fierce and forbidden that it shattered my world, a night that continues to haunt me with both passion and regret. I, Victoria, have spent a lifetime guarding secrets, but none weigh heavier than the one I now carry in my heart. I returned to my hometown in the USA with my dear husband, Stanley, seeking solace in the familiar streets and faded memories of our youth. Stanley, a gentle and kind man in his 60s, has been my rock for over 30 years, his unwavering love offering me comfort and stability. Yet, behind his warm smile and tender eyes lies an unknowing innocence, untouched by the storm of betrayal that has long defined my hidden past. As we drove through the town's quiet avenues and past well-worn storefronts, the air felt thick with the memories of a life that was both beautiful and painful. Every corner and every whisper of the wind brought me face to face with a secret I had buried deep within. I remembered the night I met Reuben, a name that would forever be etched into my soul. Reuben, Stanley's father, though now long gone from this world, was a man of quiet authority and irresistible charm. His presence was magnetic, and his deep, steady voice stirred emotions in me that I had never before experienced. It was one steamy summer night when I was younger and unburdened by the constraints of marriage. I recall the heat of that evening, when the stars shone brightly over an empty park, and the world around us seemed to fade away. In that moment, time stood still as Reuben and I found ourselves alone beneath a flickering street lamp. Our eyes met, and an undeniable spark was lit, a spark that quickly turned into a raging fire of desire. Despite knowing the forbidden nature of our connection, I surrendered to the temptation, drawn into a secret embrace that would alter the course of my life forever. In that passionate encounter, every kiss and every touch was a mingling of ecstasy and sorrow, a moment of pure, reckless abandon that I have both cherished and cursed ever since. Now, as Stanley and I walk side by side through the very streets where my past first awakened, I feel the weight of that hidden affair pressing down on me. The town, with its nostalgic charm and familiar faces, seems to whisper of times gone by, a time when I lived a double life, splitting my heart between the safety of love and the dangerous thrill of forbidden passion. Stanley's gentle conversation about old friends and forgotten dreams only deepened my inner conflict. I watched him smile at a memory of our early years, blissfully unaware that every fond recollection was juxtaposed with the darker truth of my secret. Every step I take in this town reminds me of the night under that street lamp, the warmth of Reuben's hand in mine, and the impossible choice I made, one that sealed my fate and set me on a path of unending regret. I have carried this secret like a hidden letter, tucked away in the deepest part of my soul, afraid that the truth might someday burst forth and shatter the life I have built with Stanley. Standing at the crossroads of past and present, I cannot help but wonder if this homecoming will force me to confront the demons I have long kept hidden. With every heartbeat, the possibility of discovery looms large, threatening to unravel the delicate fabric of my carefully constructed life. Will the echoes of that forbidden night ever be silenced, or will they continue to haunt me, a permanent reminder of a love that was never meant to be? Thus, I leave you with this haunting question, dear viewers. Can one ever truly escape the shadow of the past, or are we forever bound by the choices that define us? I still remember the day vividly, a cold, overcast afternoon when Stanley and I decided to explore one of the old, abandoned buildings at the edge of our hometown. We had come to seek solace in familiar yet forgotten corners of our past, unaware that fate had prepared another reckoning. As we wandered through narrow, dusty hallways, I stumbled upon a small, wooden chest hidden behind a stack of old crates. Its surface was worn by time, and a faded red ribbon, almost fragile with age, tied a bundle of letters inside. In that quiet, eerie moment, my heart pounded as I realized I had uncovered relics of a past I had long tried to bury. Slowly, I untied the ribbon and opened the first letter. The paper was yellowed with age, and the delicate handwriting sent shivers down my spine. It was a letter from Reuben, a man whose memory had both haunted and enchanted me. Each word in his careful script revived memories of stolen nights and forbidden embraces. I could almost hear his voice echoing softly in the empty room, a whisper from a time when passion overruled reason. The letter spoke of secret meetings under the moonlight and promises made in hushed tones, a stark reminder of the dangerous, irresistible allure that once consumed me. There were several letters in that bundle. Some were brief, almost like hurried notes scribbled in moments of desperate longing, while others were long and filled with detailed confessions of a love that defied everything I knew to be right. With every word, I was drawn deeper into a past that I had locked away. I remembered how, on sweltering summer nights, I would meet Reuben in secluded parks or abandoned barns, places where our whispers could hide among the rustling leaves and creaking wood. Those letters detailed our every encounter, the electric thrill of a touch, the stolen kisses, and the overwhelming rush of emotions that made me feel both alive and lost. As I read on, the contents of the letters stirred emotions I had fought so long to suppress. I was forced to relive every moment of our secret trysts, the hidden smiles, the soft laughter shared in dark corners, and the promises of love that, in another life, might have meant something pure and true. Instead, they were a painful reminder of the betrayal that lay at the very heart of my existence. I recalled the taste of his lips, the warmth of his hands, and the bittersweet guilt that followed each encounter. Each letter was like a mirror reflecting not only our passion but also the irreversible choices that had led me to this moment of painful discovery. In that forgotten room, amid the dust and silence, I could feel the weight of these revelations pressing upon my soul. Stanley, standing quietly beside me, remained unaware of the storm unfolding in my heart. His eyes, kind and gentle, spoke of a trust and innocence that now felt tainted by the secrets these letters held. I wrestled with a tumult of feelings, the longing to recapture those moments of wild, unbridled passion, and the crushing guilt of betraying the man who had stood by me for so many years. As I closed one letter after another, I realized that these were not just relics of a bygone affair. They were the tangible proof of a life lived in secrecy, proof that threatened to shatter the carefully constructed world I had built with Stanley. I clutched the letters tightly, wondering if the past would soon burst forth into the light, or if I could keep these memories hidden a while longer. Standing there in the dim, abandoned room, I felt a chill as I questioned whether these letters were the key to unlocking old wounds or a door that should never be opened. And so, with trembling hands and a heart full of regret and longing, I gathered the letters close. I knew that what I had discovered was just the beginning of a journey that would force me to confront the truth of my secret affair with Reuben, and ultimately, the man I had vowed to love forever. Every day since finding those letters, I have felt as though a heavy stone has been placed on my chest, a weight that grows with every passing moment. The secret of my affair with Reuben, once hidden deep within the folds of my heart, now looms over me like an unyielding storm. In the quiet hours of the night, when the world is asleep and my thoughts are loudest, I feel that same forbidden passion battling with overwhelming guilt. It is a conflict that has defined me, a battle between the memory of a love that once burned brightly and the painful consequences of betraying Stanley, the man who has loved me unconditionally. The letters are like echoes of a past that refuses to be silenced. Every handwritten word reminds me of those stolen moments when I felt truly alive, moments that now serve as constant reminders of the mistake I made. Reuben had a way of making me feel cherished and desired, something I had longed for in ways I couldn't fully understand. Yet, as I reminisce about the thrill of his touch and the promise of passion that danced in his eyes, I am also overwhelmed by the guilt of betraying Stanley. His gentle smiles, his kind gestures, and his unwavering trust were gifts I took for granted while I indulged in a dangerous liaison. I have spent years burying these feelings under layers of routine and normalcy. Stanley and I built a life together, one filled with shared memories, quiet dinners, and long walks through our hometown. He never suspected that beneath my calm exterior was a torrent of emotions and memories that could one day tear us apart. Often, I catch myself wondering when the scales of guilt and desire will tip in a way that makes the secret impossible to ignore. It is as if my soul is locked in a constant struggle, with each heartbeat echoing the duality of my choices. In the depths of my heart, I remember that night under the flickering street lamp when Reuben and I surrendered to a passion that was both beautiful and forbidden. I recall the bittersweet joy and the fleeting moments of bliss that I had experienced, a joy that now turns bitter when I think of the consequences. The duality of my emotions is painful. A part of me still yearns for that wild, unrestrained love, while another part is burdened by the remorse of betraying Stanley's trust. I feel caught between two worlds, the safe, predictable life I share with Stanley, and the reckless, dangerous allure of a love that could destroy everything I have built. As days turn into nights and the quiet of our old hometown seeps into every corner of my mind, I often question my own self-worth. I wonder how I can live with a secret that eats away at me, leaving scars on my heart that no amount of time can heal. I find myself pausing in the middle of conversation, my mind drifting back to those stolen moments with Reuben. Every memory is tinted with both the heat of passion and the chill of regret, and I fear that these memories may one day spill over into my present life. I have begun to feel as though I am standing at the edge of a precipice, peering into a future that is as uncertain as it is inevitable. The burden of this secret has become too heavy to bear, and I am left to wonder if the truth will ever come crashing into my life. With every quiet moment and every deep, troubled sigh, I sense that the past is not content to remain hidden. The more I try to lock it away, the louder its call becomes. I ask myself, how long can one hide from the truth? And what will happen when the secrets I have guarded so fiercely are finally forced into the light? In the silence of my troubled heart, I fear that the coming days may force a reckoning, a moment when the weight of these secrets can no longer be contained. And as that moment draws near, I am left wondering, will the truth set me free, or will it ultimately shatter the fragile life I have so carefully built? The letters I discovered have stirred a whirlwind of emotion and regret inside me, and it seems that the past is no longer content to remain hidden. Each day since that fateful afternoon, the secret of my forbidden love with Reuben grows louder in my heart. I find myself caught in a storm of fear, desire, and overwhelming guilt. As I struggle with the urge to confess to Stanley, the burden of this secret feels heavier than ever. It started on a cold morning when I met Rita for coffee in a small diner near our old neighborhood. Rita, with her kind but knowing eyes, had always been a friend who sensed when something was amiss. As we talked about the old days, she mentioned in a quiet voice, "Victoria, I heard whispers about some old letters in that abandoned building. They say the handwriting is very familiar." I froze. I had hoped that these memories would remain locked away, but Rita's words made my heart race with dread. Was someone else beginning to piece together my past? After that conversation, my nights became restless. I lay awake, haunted by memories of secret meetings and stolen moments. I wondered how long I could hide from the truth. Every creak of the old house, every whisper of wind outside seemed to echo with the forbidden passion I once shared with Reuben. The thought of Stanley, my devoted husband, made me shudder. How could he never have known that behind my gentle smiles lay a heart divided between two loves, one pure and steady, the other wild and destructive? The guilt of my secret grew stronger with each passing day. I started to receive unexpected phone calls late at night, voices on the other end offering vague hints about the old letters. One evening, while I was quietly folding laundry, the phone rang. I answered hesitantly, only to hear a shaky voice say, "Victoria, I don't know if you remember me, but I saw you at the old warehouse. I think you were going through something very personal." The caller hung up abruptly, leaving me trembling with fear. Who was watching me, and what did they know? With each call and each whispered remark from old acquaintances, I felt the walls of my secret closing in. I spent hours pacing in the dim light of our living room, wrestling with the thought of confessing everything to Stanley. I loved him dearly, and the idea of shattering the trust between us filled me with despair. Yet, the need to unburden my soul grew stronger with every passing moment. I sat in silence one rainy afternoon, staring at the letters spread out on the table, each one a painful reminder of the nights when I had surrendered to forbidden passion. The conflict within me reached a breaking point one evening when Stanley came home early from one of his routine walks. He found me in a pensive state, surrounded by the faded pages of my past. His eyes filled with concern as he gently asked, "Victoria, what is troubling you? You seem so lost in thought." In that moment, I wanted nothing more than to reach out and confess every hidden truth. My heart pounded as I opened my mouth to speak, but the words died on my lips. How could I possibly explain the love that I had once felt for a man who was once part of our family, and how could I risk losing Stanley's unconditional care? As the tension in the room grew, the sound of the front door unexpectedly broke our heavy silence. The door swung open slowly, and a stranger's silhouette appeared in the doorway, a face I did not recognize but whose presence sent a shiver down my spine. In that frozen moment, my heart raced, and I realized that the forces pulling my past into the present were now at my doorstep. Who was this visitor, and did he hold the key to the secrets I had so desperately tried to hide? I stood there, caught between the urge to confess and the terror of the unknown, as the stranger took a hesitant step forward. The weight of my secret pressed down on me, and I felt as if time itself had stopped. In that fragile moment, I realized that my carefully constructed world was on the brink of collapse, and the truth, like a raging river, was about to break free. The morning after our painful confrontation felt both heavy and strangely hopeful. I sat at our kitchen table with Stanley, the old letters spread out before us like fragile relics of a past that had long since been buried. My heart pounded as I began to speak, my voice trembling with both remorse and a desire for freedom. "Stanley, I have carried these secrets for too long. I must tell you everything." Stanley listened in silence, his eyes filled with sorrow and a quiet strength that I had come to rely on over the years. I recounted every detail of my forbidden affair with Reuben, how his deep, commanding voice and the promise of passion had drawn me into a dangerous dance of desire and deceit. I told him of the stolen moments beneath flickering street lamps and hidden corners of our hometown, moments that had lit up my soul yet left me drowning in guilt. As the words spilled out, I could see the pain etching deeper into his gentle features. Then, with a slight, almost imperceptible sigh, Stanley reached for an envelope from a drawer in the study. "Victoria," he said softly, "there's something I've held on to for many years as well." In that envelope were letters he had written long ago, letters filled with his own doubts and suspicions about secrets that he felt were hidden even before he knew the full truth. He confessed that he had sensed a distance between us, a subtle change that he could not name. In his own quiet way, Stanley admitted that he had hoped I would someday find the courage to be honest. In that moment, I felt a bittersweet mix of relief and despair. Here we were, two souls bound by a lifetime of shared memories and unspoken truths, each carrying the scars of past mistakes. Stanley's compassion and willingness to share his own hidden pain gave me a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, together, we could navigate this storm and rebuild the trust that had once been our anchor. Over the following weeks, we set out on a difficult journey toward healing. We attended counseling sessions and spent long evenings talking, sometimes in tears, sometimes in silence, trying to understand how love could be both a source of immense comfort and a cause of deep, unhealed wounds. I learned that redemption was not about erasing the past, but about accepting our shared pain and working through it with honesty and vulnerability. Stanley, ever patient, reminded me that forgiveness is a slow process, one that requires time and a sincere commitment to change. Yet, just as we began to find our footing on this rocky road, a final twist emerged from the depths of our history. While sorting through the letters once more, I discovered a sealed envelope tucked behind the rest, a letter from Reuben that I had never seen before. Its wax seal was broken, and the handwriting, familiar and haunting, carried a message that sent shivers down my spine. Reuben's words spoke not only of the passion we had shared, but also of a promise to protect a secret far greater than our love affair. He hinted at a connection to a family secret that I had never known, a truth that could append everything I thought I understood about my own heart and the life we had built. This final revelation left me standing at the crossroads of the past and the future, questioning whether true absolution was ever within reach. As Stanley and I attempted to move forward, I could not shake the feeling that the ghosts of our shared history would always linger, a constant reminder that love, betrayal, and redemption are inextricably intertwined. I do not claim to have all the answers. The road ahead remains uncertain and fraught with the memories of mistakes made long ago. But as I continue on this journey of healing and self-forgiveness, I hold on to the belief that facing the truth, no matter how painful, is the only way to truly move forward. Thank you for sharing in my story. If you found my journey moving and thought-provoking, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more stories like this.